Alright, welcome back. This is part 5 in the character modeling tutorial series. Last video we talked about how to set up the legs, extrude the legs out, and then how to start to add some more edge loops where we need them. So in this video we're going to talk about softening edges, because right now the geometry is very faceted, a hard edge look. And then we're also going to add some more edge loops, not too many, but in certain areas to be able to blend that motion. And then preparation to start adding smaller details. Alright, so there are a couple areas where they're pretty blocky. We can go back and add some more loops. And the good tool for this is the insert edge loop tool. We don't have to be perfectly aligned in the center, but we do want to add some more loops where we need to. So this is a pretty chunky area. So let's come in here and add a couple more loops. We're going to try to split up the model so it is pretty even. As we move around. The thigh area isn't going to move too much, but there might be another area we want to add just one more loop. That's pretty good so far. We may need a couple more in the neck area, so I want to add another one there. And maybe another one right there or something. That's fine for now. We don't want to add too many though. Alright, so something else that we can do to make it look more believable before we start to add more detail is hardening and softening the edges. So right now the edges are pretty hard, pretty visible. One thing we can do is go to Mesh Display and the Combine Soften Harden Edge tool. That'll take care of some of the edges, but it didn't do everything. So there's still a lot of hard edges in there. But basically what that'll do is when you go to the option box for Soften Harden Edge, any two faces that are next to one another that have a 30-degree angle or less, it's going to soften them. If it's 31 degrees or more, it's going to harden that edge. So what we want to do is just switch it up so that all of the edges are softened. So if I go to Mesh Display Soften Edge, that will soften everything, no matter their angles. There might be some shading issues, like the chin right there. You see the shading issues a little happening there, but it's not too bad. I will usually just start with soften edge and then go back and harden edges where I need to. So right off the bat, that makes the character look smoother without adding any more geometry. So if you're not aware of it, you can go to Display, Heads Up Display, and Poly Count, and we have 1120 faces. That is four-sided faces, and if there are any triangles, we would double that, and that would roughly get us around 2248 is the value that's telling us. So I still have a very low polygon character, but I'm doing this on purpose so we can slowly add more detail as we move along. I know I'm going to need more detail in the face, in the fingers, and for more definition throughout the body. I'm going to put some minor clothing on them, refine the feet some more. But overall, it is the blocked out version of the body is only a little over 1,000 polygons. Okay, so the next thing we can talk about is using the Sculpting Tools. And sculpting is another way we can manipulate the geometry with the regular Sculpt tool. So there's a Sculpting shelf tab, and the far left one is the regular Sculpt tool. The brush might be large and it might have a strong strength. If I click on it, you can really see it's pushing and pulling that geometry. So if you hold down the B key and left click and drag, that changes the brush size. If you hold down the M key, left click and drag, that changes the strength. So if I put a low strength and a larger brush, we can start to pull out more muscular detail. If I hold down Control, that will push that form back in. And then Shift softens or smooths that form out. Perhaps we don't want it to be that crazy there, but we can kind of play around a little more. So this is a nice tool to add some more definition for things like muscles, if we wanted to push and pull some parts of the muscles in. Okay, if we want to make some areas bigger, we can, of course. Maybe we can put a little bit more muscle definition to the thighs. Blend that a little bit back. Okay. There we go. Let's pull some more areas out here. That's pretty good. And we're gonna make the calves a little bit more bulbous there. Push down this one a little bit so it's flatter. Come back and play around with this a little bit more. Maybe we can put the strength down. There we go, looking all right there. Maybe the butt area is not to our liking as far as definition for it, so we can start to kind of slowly sculpt more detail in there. We're not trying to make something too over exaggerated, but it is a way we can start to add some more detail. I'm going to pull out the hips a little bit more. So there's one way we can define more forms here. So we can do Alt or Shift, sorry, Shift clicking to kind of push in some of those side forms a little more. Okay. So that's the Sculpt tool. Some other tools is the Relax tool. That's the, let's see, my hover is not showing me here. But yeah, it shows you on the bottom, it's Relax. The second one's the Smooth tool. That will kind of decrease the form, but also kind of average out the faces. But I do like the Relax, especially for characters. If some of your loops aren't as smooth, with the Relax tool I can even out some of these forms a little more. So you can kind of see it's evening out the edge loops there, which that's really nice for characters to blend some of the forms back together. So ones like the chest area, the shoulder blades, it might be good to even out some of these forms a little bit more. We'll come up here to the chest, you see how it's evening those out a little bit better here. There you go, a little too crazy there. You can play around with that. Want to make sure it's still reminiscent of the forms, like from the side view. Come back up here and play around with some of the vertices. I'll go back to my manual manipulation tool. So right here might be a good spot for another edge loop. Kind of move all these back a little bit. So I don't have enough definition here, so maybe I can pull another edge loop there, the bottom of the chest. And then I can go back into wireframe mode. That's 4 on the keyboard. Shortcut, move it down. And then this is a male character, so we don't want to have too much of a outward motion there. Maybe another edge loop would be nice there, so let's go insert edge loop again. That'll help us kind of define the lower pectoral muscle area a little bit more. Back here. There we go. Might still be too much outward motion, but overall we can play around with these forms a little more. Push the center area back a little bit. Push these little out some. Go. Maybe it's too much outward there, so we'll kind of move things around a little bit. That's a pretty good start there. Maybe some of these points, maybe we get the Relax tool and kind of push them back some. That looks pretty good. There we go. So I'm losing some of the mass of the character's rib cage and whatnot, so that might be something I come back with the Sculpt tool. Go back in object mode. There you go, and then back with the Sculpt tool. You know, pull some of those ribs back out a little bit. Pull some of that chest cavity wall back out. There we go, it's looking all right. Alright, so those are some other ways that we can slowly add more detail. I'm not going to go too crazy with the facial features just yet, but adding more edge loops, using the sculpting tools, going in and softening the edges can be a good starting point to kind of refine more of the form, make it look more of like the body style that you're looking for there. I'll wrap it up for this video. The next video we'll come back and talk about how to model the fingers. So that's what we'll do then. All right, that's it for this video.